How do you judge a relationship without relying on potential or skepticism? That is exactly what I'm going to be discussing. And by the end of it, you're going to understand how to get to clarity so that you can trust that your decision wasn't rushed or blindsided, but it was clear and based on an actual system. I help people make clearer decisions, lead themselves under pressure, and most importantly, show up in a way that stops their reactions costing them. So, without further ado, let's dive in. So as you can see here, you're the judge, alright? But unfortunately, we are the judges of our lives whether we like it or not. There is no changing that. There's nothing we can do about it. Unfortunately, that's just how it is. So when stuff hits the fan, unless you have the capability to understand where you stand, you're going to be rolling towards one side or the other, okay? And guess what drives you into making any of those points? So if you're potential, you're probably on the naive side. If you're skeptical, you're probably on the negative side, okay? And what drives you is the evidence you build, okay? So someone that is naive will look at perception and constantly find the positive outcome. Someone that's skeptical looks at the same evidence but allows the perception to hurt them so that they never get hurt again. So in other words, that's where a lot of you find yourselves. You're either here or here. Now this is why, for instance, when you listen to people online, on social media, if you can't dissect that they're standing from a clear ground, which is they're able to notice the positive and the negatives of the things that we're actually looking at, then you probably shouldn't trust their outcome. Because guess what happens? When you're over here, it's like a projection, right? And you end up here. And when you're skeptical, projection again, that ends you here. And you want to get here. Okay, so your destination is here, but if you have a skeptical outlook, you will end up there. If you have a naive outlook, the ball will end up here. So you are, in other words, utilizing judgment ineffectively, and this is why you're not getting to the outcome you want, right? There's a few other factors that come into play, but I want to make it as practical as possible, right? So how do you get to the destination, right? Well, you get to the destination by neutralizing the scale, right? And you do that by clearing the noise, right? You start off by understanding where you stand, okay? Who are you in this situation? What do you benefit? What have you got to lose? However, you need to understand with clarity good and bad, okay? Good points and positive points. And you need to be able to look at it objectively. So you're about to deal with a breakup, okay? What are the positives of the breakup, right? Positive of the breakup is that potentially there's going to be more people that you get to rebuild the life with. There's also going to be the potential that the negative energy that you feel from the heartbreak is going to push you into being someone that's a lot more focused. There's also going to be the opportunity of you potentially just focusing on just enjoying your private space, and if you're someone that built a strong foundation, because the point of you can only do this if you're comfortable with who you are as an individual. You have to separate yourself from the situation, get into a space where you're clear. And the reason why that's so critical is because a lot of us haven't learned how to do that, because we are running an old program. Now, this is probably the first time you're hearing any of this, and as much as I want to give you science and research, the truth of the matter is that the best way to describe it is life experience will teach you that in order for you to make clear decisions, you need to stay calm. And if you need research to believe that, go ahead and find it. Ask ChatGPT, should I make a decision when I'm clear-headed, or should I allow my positivity or my skepticism to make decisions for me? If you're a trader, I work with a lot of traders. It's a no-brainer. It's called risk assessment. It's about utilizing your objective brain to analyze the situation, actually make decisions. But you can only utilize the objective brain when things are calm. How do you get things to calm down? You understand that worst case scenario, you're going to be fine anyway. That is the word, that is the sentence you want to say. I'm actually going to be okay regardless. That generally calms you down. Then you can do deep breathing exercises and you freaking name it. There's other things that I do with the clients I work with in the one-to-one, which I won't disclose here because I just don't want to, not in the mood. But to maybe help you or guide you, I'll probably say something around the lines of looking at the bigger picture, okay? To be fair, I can't give you the answer. It's just about what you decide to look at in the bigger picture. In 100 years, you won't matter. That's the whole point. So just look at the bigger picture. Anyways, going back to this. So the positives, the negatives for each scenario, right? So I learned this concept by reading the book How to Live Free in an Unfree World. And in other words, it basically talks about picturing all scenarios. Okay, the positive, the good, the bad, the ugly, and then just seeing yourself in each one of them. Allowing yourself to feel the emotions of you navigating each one of them, and then coming back into clarity. Okay? Now, once you've written down the good things, once you've written down the bad things, what you're then going to do is now sit down with the situation itself and say, in 6 months' time, what happens? In a year's time, what happens? Okay? Now, this is something that can be cut down in a shorter space of time. I'm giving you this with the assumption that you're struggling with trusting your own judgment. And I'm trying to help you understand that the reason why you don't trust it is because you don't have a system that you can trust. You're gambling, you're hoping, you're guessing your way through life or most critical decisions. Okay? So, to take it back to what today was about, how to judge your relationships without relying on any of those is by putting it all on the table, analyzing with clarity what exact direction serves you best, and then making a decision without any regrets. And I'll give you an example. I had a call this week from a client of mine. He said to me that I have just broken up with my ex. Now, please understand that when you rewire yourself, and this is the caveat of rewiring yourself, the person you are rewiring for, you may not realize that you picked based on the survival instinct. You may not have realized that you picked based on you being compatible with something that you should have let go a long time ago. And the reason why sometimes you don't want to go through that process is because you don't want to detach yourself from that person. And the reason why I can tell you that so well is because I've watched so many of my clients go through a process where they had to reconnect as a new person with the person they were building with, based on looking at the different perspective. Because there's 8 billion perspectives, right? So even in a worst case scenario of things, it's never really binary. A lot of people just assume that it's either black and white, it's either yes or no. The issue is, it's never really that. It's more about how clearly does this get me to the outcome or destination I want to get to. And that is a way more different approach, because that actually helps you analyze different routes, different angles, most importantly, a way for you to get to your outcome in a much more effective manner. Now, if you want to understand how to get to the core of eventually trusting your decision quickly, you're going to have to get into a space where you now start making or training yourself to own your decisions, right? So owning your decisions allows you to build the evidence to trust yourself, okay? For instance, I am going to brush my teeth. You say it out loud. That's evidence. And you go and do it. I am going to message so-and-so people. You do it. And then you start to stack up evidence that you can actually trust your decision, because whatever you say, you actually do. And then, by the time it's now time for you to decide whether this good or bad or ugly, you have enough evidence stacked that now says that actually this person followed through with what he says, and we've examined all angles. This seems to be the right angle. Okay, now I'm not saying to you that this is a bulletproof strategy, but I'm saying that this is way better than guessing your way through it. This is way better than just asking a friend that may not have the experience, that may be biased, that may have been picking from a skeptical angle and doesn't understand how to be neutral about a specific topic, because maybe they've gone through something similar and now they're utilizing their experience to taint your experience because they're trying to protect you, but they're also not understanding that their experience is having them watch the same situation like this. And then I can see what's happening. No, one eye is shut because you're not seeing clearly because of what happened to you. Okay, so I say all of this to say that in order for you to judge without relying on potential or skepticism, you need to analyze all angles and base your perspective on a neutral outlook or outcome. Okay, now I really hope this video has added value to you. If you're looking to work with someone on a one-to-one basis that's going to hold you accountable in understanding how to get to that clarity space, how to get to that space where you can trust your judgment, how to get into that space where you can genuinely see yourself making better decisions because you're able to now see, oh, this is not what serves me. All right, you haven't understood how to build the evidence. I'll be honest, the building the evidence bit is probably like the most critical bit, because that's how you almost like build the hammer that makes the decisions. Well, book a call in the bio and I will see you in the next one.